Well, with that, we'd like to move on to our panel number 4, and we'll be talking about decoding the speeding trends and what does the future holds for the D2C industry. Please join me in welcoming, with a huge round of applause, our moderator for this session, Mr. Gaurav Dhawan, Chief Revenue Officer for Times Network. Thank you for that thunderous applause, the whole room. Now, that's how it's going to go down.
They are hungry right now.
All right, let's welcome the panel as well. Mr. Vishal, Jindal, founder and CEO, Biryani by Kilo. We also have Mr. Rohit Chawla, founder and CEO, Innovist, joining us for the panel discussion. Please give you a round of applause for the gentleman joining us on the stage. Mr. Arjun Vaidya, co-founder V3 Ventures, is joining us in this panel discussion as well. We have Mr. Abhinav, Mathur, founder Something's Brewing, joining us for this panel. And also we have Midhula Devabhaktuni, co-founder and CMO, Mivi, joining us for this panel discussion number 4. Okay, now before we begin and I hand over the stage to Mr. Dhawan here, I need all of you to do this one favor to me, a huge one I know. Can you all raise your left hand like this, please? Everyone in the room, raise your left hand like this. You can also do that. People in the VIP seats at the back, yes? You know who you are. Raise your left hand like this. With a single finger, tap it in the middle of the palm. Can you do that? Now, this is the kind of applause that you give to the people that you don't really like. And I've been hearing a lot of that. 2 fingers, can you do that for me, please? This seems like, okay, I might hear you. 3 fingers. This is interesting. 4. Palm to palm. That's a proper applause. Keep that going for the panel here. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you very much. Now that you've got everyone in the mode, we are good to go. So, firstly, thanks to Exchange for Media and the entire team for setting this wonderful event up and, really setting up the ball in motion for the D2C category. And they've been doing it for a long time. They've been champions of this category. So, really, great work done by Anurag ji and the entire team. Happy to be here and an amazing panel we have here. So my name is Gaurav Dhawan. We look after the revenues and the opportunities on the Times network. As part of the Times machinery, I've been privileged to work with a system called the Brand Capital System, which has invested over $4 billion in last 15 years to boost the D2C and the SME enterprise in India. So we have worked very closely with brands like Thyrocare and many other brands and who have really done well. So we really, passionately believe that this category is really the future of India. In fact, we are the only company that probably has a daily show on our channel ET now that talks about, the opportunities and challenges for the young and newer companies. So it's almost like a 200 episodes we dedicate every year on this. So that's the background. So I will be really happy to know from you and, as they say, from the horse's mouth, how things are panning out in this year. So let me start with Arjun. For a change, you're on the other side of the table. You do all the questionings. So good to have you answer a few things. Arjun, if I was to take a view from you, what are some of the bigger trends in the D2C market that people are really encashing on? Say 3 or 4 trends that you think are critical and people are already seeing that and encashing on that.
Thanks, Gaurav, and thank you to E4M for having this event and bringing us together so many times. So I was actually having a discussion with someone literally just before I entered this hotel about what actually happened over the last 5 or 7 years in D2C, right? And I consider myself one of those experienced or older generation D2C founders because we started in 2016 when this term D2C didn't even exist, right? So at that time, people thought we were actually crazy to go online only. All consumption was mostly happening offline. At least Brands were being built offline. The only online business that was happening was largely through marketplace. And so it was a big step forward to go D2C, right? Then in 2017, 18, I think more and more brands started being built. Investors started supporting other brands, not me. I didn't raise any money by then. And consumers started consuming online. This term D2C got coined. 2019, we grew even further. We then became mainstream. People started talking about us. Small conferences like this started popping up. And then in 2020, the world for us changed, right? So we had this thing called COVID, which affected a lot of people negatively. But for our industry, actually, it was a watershed moment. Because my mom, who had never set up online banking, set up an online banking and only wanted to pay with UPI. And my dad, who had never placed an order on Amazon, placed his first order on Amazon, now has placed 50 orders on Amazon, goes on a D2C website from an ad on his Instagram, buys the product, and then calls the customer care saying, I'm in Bombay, you're in Bombay, how can it take 3 days for this product to be delivered, right? So behavior started to change. Now I think in all of that, people like me drank our own Kool-Aid and started believing that offline is dead, right? So I remember doing a LinkedIn post maybe 15, 17 months back saying, I buy everything online. Does anyone buy anything offline? Right? And we obviously got proven wrong. In sort of mid-22, everything started reopening. Consumers went back to their old habits and offline came back. So I think overall, if you look at that journey, while D2C is now much larger than it was pre-2020, pre-pandemic, offline is back. And so there's much more competition in D2C. And we have some fundamental things that we need to keep in mind in 2023 as D2C brand scale, right? One is CAC is at an all-time high, and so you really have to build a brand and be differentiated. Two, consumers understand Me Too products, and so you have to have your own right to win. Three, as my dad said, he wants quick delivery. A good customer experience is expected. And four, at some scale, and that scale is different for different business, maybe 50 crores, maybe 100 crores, maybe 150 crores, maybe 200 crores. For us, it was at a 100 crores scale. Offline becomes an important conversation to have for the next leg of scale. And so you will see these sort of unified channel businesses, omni-channel businesses, adaptive businesses, which use a mix of online and offline, whether it's for lead gen, whether it's for marketing, to actually hit the customer everywhere they go. So I think that's what I would say is happening in D2C. The last thing I would say is, this is my aspiration, my hope and my goal. Brand India is being built all over the world. And so I hope that in this year and the years to come, we'll see more and more Indian D2C brands find themselves on shelves across the globe.
I'm going to come back to you on that omni-channel thought, but yeah, hold that, good start. Abhinav, what I want to know from you, from the mindset point of view, last 2 years, has there been any change at the consumer level? Are they more welcoming the D2C brands? Are they more comfortable? Like you said, his dad is very comfortable. He goes and orders online and then actually challenges the delivery cycle. Have you seen that come in your way as an advantage, or is that a disadvantage?
So first of all, there is a realization amongst D2C companies that effectively we are consumer companies. We are consumer brands. Even when we said D2C, it was not, for a few brands, maybe it was directly to the customer, but most of them got built over aggregator platforms. And now there are other channels opening, which Arjun spoke about in retail. Discovery is what D2C brands effectively get, first. And this has only become more accentuated. So for a lot of brands like us, what's happening is, maybe during COVID, even the transactions were happening online. Now what's happened is the discovery has stayed online. The actual transaction remains online, but also has moved to physical spaces. So that I would say is a big change which all of us are now talking about, which is omni-channel. On top of it, yes, there is also discovery happening offline. So a combination is what which we are getting. Also, the number of brands has gone up significantly. So there is now mind space competition between thousands of brands, everyone pitching for their ad onto a consumer, which means, of course, the costs are going up online. And what that means is, if you want to stay relevant, you have to do something more. You have to add some experience. You have to add some element of engagement, which makes the consumer stay with you. So that's becoming extremely important.
Thanks. So, Rohit, coming to you, how have you seen, this, we talked about omni-channel a while ago. How have you seen that shape up your business thoughts? And is there any consumer experiences that are, moving between offline and online? And how are you tapping into that?
So, I mean, omni-channel is actually, everyone talks about it. We are actually not very omni-channel. We are mostly online. 95% business for us is online right now. We do experiment a little bit in offline, mostly modern trade, because that's the price point works over there. What we realize is it's a little expensive to build that channel as well. It seems easy and it's probably the right thing to do, but it takes a lot of time and patience to build that network. It's even, because D2C is very simple comparatively. You can run an ad, you can get a transaction very quickly, you get an instant feedback. But retail, sort of, the omni-channel part is a little difficult.
Midhula, talking about Mivi, I guess you have, really expanded the scope of the products, and even omni-channel as a business is something that you're going big after, and the fact that you're moving up the scale from, audio products to wearable products. How critical has omni-channel been in your thought process?
See, we were a bootstrap brand which we started in 2016. So we were very clear going the omni-channel route during the initial years was not for us. Because especially electronics, when you walk into stores and you're not an established brand yet, you're fighting with the international brands and you wouldn't get the space that you would need and the promotion that you need. So definitely the online platforms have helped us tremendously in the journey. And then D2C we've built after 2 years into the space. Once we started to establish a brand, we've built a very good or an amazing customer experience with our own website. And we've only started venturing omni-channel this year, because now we see customers walking into the store and asking the shopkeepers, I want Mivi. Now that is an easy entrant and would help you get that leverage to maintain or grow in the channel. Like he said, it's not easy to enter omni-channel, but it is more rewarding. Retail as a channel is definitely more rewarding because there are a lot of price drops, events that happen online with all the brands, with the big Diwali sales happening. But retail as a channel is more rewarding, however, is much more harder to enter.
So you actually grew the brand offline well enough to create online well enough to create an offline demand, and now
Yes.
you are looking at fulfilling that
Yes,
demand.
now we are getting a lot of interest from the retailers itself, distributors itself, reaching to Mivi, asking us, we would like to be your distributors. That has made our journey, we've only entered from March 1st, and today we are already in 2,000 plus counters. So that has made the journey easier.
Can I just add one thing? I think she said a really, really important thing, right? So I remember when we started Dr. Vaidya's, we failed miserably offline because at that time nobody wanted our product offline. And so we were pushing our product to these retailers. They were charging us crazy margins where we would lose money, but still the product wasn't moving. When she was able to build her brand online, and then consumers go to those stores and actually demand for her brand, those retailers come to you, they give you favorable terms of trade, they want to move your product, and your chance of success is actually much higher. So if you're a D2C brand actually, and whatever that product market fit is, 50 crores, 100 crores, 200 crores, whatever, that is an amazing time to enter, because then you sort of hit the ground running very fast.
Cool. Vishal, so are you also looking at a similar journey where you make your product or service more popular in an online medium like Cloud Kitchen, and then eventually expand it in the offline zone, or you want to stick primarily to the online version?
So see, Biryani by Kilo, see, we are primarily in the Cloud Kitchen food delivery business, Biryani, kebabs, North Indian cuisine. We have a couple of other brands also. But having said that, we always had a dine-in model since 2016-17. So we do believe that the consumer behavior is different in different cities. Let's say cities like Mumbai, Delhi, where the rentals are higher, and the customers they don't have much time. More pollution, more traffic, longer distances, and higher rent. It doesn't make sense to put so much dine-ins. But let's say when we are going to a city like Jaipur or Jalandhar or Kanpur or Mysore, we do put our first outlet as dine-in outlet. So it's not one size fits all, because I think a customer in Jalandhar might have more time, I'm saying in a very generalized fashion, than a Mumbai customer, or less traffic in that city, and the rentals are lower. So it makes more sense for us to put the first dine-in. And the trust also in the tier 2 cities happens faster if they see a signage, if they see a dining place. So we have 35 to 40 dine-in outlets in different cities. Even in Mumbai, Delhi we have in Connaught Place one. So, but having said that, only 10-15% of our business comes from dine-in. And I think this is a continuous journey from online to offline, offline to online, which the brands will have to keep taking all through their life cycle, I think, depending on which channel is more ready, which channel is how expensive at that particular time. Yeah.
So a lot of your competitors, Vishal, are, say for example, if you look at food options like a Domino's or a McDonald's, they have a vast, presence on ground. And for them to upgrade to online is far easier than the other way around for you, to start something online and take it offline. So will that become a hindrance for the growth of the brand anytime in the future?
See, not really. I think we all startups are quite flexible, lean, and I think it looks like that the dine-in brands can do delivery quite easy. If that was this easy, Pizza Hut would have been successful in delivery. See, Domino's and Pizza Hut came at the same time in India, 96. Domino's today in India through Jubilant is a 5,000 crore brand, and Pizza Hut is a 1,000 crore brand. Pizza Hut is a primarily more dine-in focused brand from day one. So if it was that easy for a dine-in brand to go into delivery, they would have beaten or come somewhere closer to Domino's. The DNA for delivery and dine-in or online or offline is very different, and brands need and companies need to understand what will make you successful in offline might not make you, or vice versa. And I think Domino's and Pizza Hut is a very good example. The DNA is very required. It's very different here.
Arjun, taking down to your experience, what do you think is, one thing that brands who are coming up must really do, and one thing that they must completely avoid?
I think it's a tough question to pinpoint one thing, but I'll try. Right. So I think the one thing that I got by with while building Doctors, I'll confess that I built a brand basis, that was performance marketing. I used to run conversion-based Google ads, Facebook ads, eventually Instagram ads, YouTube ads, etc. all of that. And in 2017, 2018, even 2019, chal jata tha. ROI aa jata tha because competition was limited, right? I was pretty much the only guy who was looking at Ayurveda online only. And so I got by with this and I built a brand only from 2019 onwards, like 3 years into my journey. It was okay for that time. Today the competition in categories is 2x, 5x or 10x, right? There is lots more options for the customer. Brands have to really cut through this clutter and explain to a consumer why out of the 20 options for Ayurvedic products or personal care products or clothing or food, you choose this brand.
So you're saying clear differentiation.
And so, not even just clear differentiation, the customer has to buy your brand, right? And a lot of D2C founders ask me like, this brand thing is a real black box and I'm just throwing money into that well and not knowing the answer. But what I've seen actually is the ones that are able to build a brand actually get better efficacy on their performance marketing, higher click-through rates, better ROS, better conversions, because that is something the consumer aspires for, knows and wants to be a part of. And today's consumer has lots of choice. So I would say, don't only spend on performance, spend on brand. And the second thing is that customers are much more picky, finicky, and expect much more from online brands. So a subpar conversion experience, payment gateway not working, delivery taking longer than you promised, the delivery boy not coming and it's showing a status as the delivery boy has come, a substandard product sort of unboxing experience. This is something that's not talked about enough, but customer delight and that experience of opening that iPhone box, even if I spend 1.5 lakh rupees on a phone, that bounce that I get from the iPhone makes it all worth it, right? So I think customer delight is not talked about enough, but in the environment where we get 10 parcels a day, you got to remember that one parcel, that one brand, that one product.
And something that you think brands should completely avoid?
Yeah, so I would say completely avoid only investing in performance marketing, invest in brand, and think about customer delight.
Rohit, tossing this up to you, what I understand is many times brand come with a promise or they come forward with a solution to a problem. And 2 years into that journey, they realize that for them to scale up, that solution and problem-led approach is no more significant. Like for example, in your own case, you came forward with an idea to do customized, products for mail. And but the scale is not going to be big. So then for you to scale up, you will have to get into mass production. And so how do you think the Indian D2C market is flexible and the owners are quick to move the needle and then grow a different path? Because you started off on one path and now you're pursuing another path. So.
Sure. So that's an interesting question, actually. I think the brand you're talking about is Bare Anatomy, which was personalized hair care. So yes, we had to pivot for scale reasons and pandemic, because factory, we had to make our personalized product, so we couldn't make enough, right? There was enough demand, but we couldn't make enough. So there was a supply constraint more than a demand constraint actually at that time. But the thing is that our fundamentals didn't change. We wanted to give the best product to the customer, and for that we took a quiz and made a product for them, versus in the new avatar, which is mass produced now, the same philosophy has been embedded. We have imported a lot of raw materials. We built a great network of vendors across the world to put those kind of stuff in our products. So giving the whole concept why we started is still true. So the customers can see through that logic, and that's why it works for us. So we didn't pivot it completely like a different angle. It's just that a process change in between.
Yeah. So talking of Midhula, your company has done something very remarkable, which is like you started off as getting products from China, white labeling them, and getting them at affordable pricing and value system in India. And then one day you decided to launch your own manufacturing unit. So for a D2C brand and a player, how do they decide that I am done with white labeling and I want to now, take the Make in India mandate forward?
See, that's not the whole story. So
Tell us the whole story.
So we always wanted to manufacture in India, but we were both, me and my partner were 20 years plus at that point of time, when we realized there was not a single audio manufacturing company in India, nor did we have that expertise. But we always said we want to give the customer a great product which is customized for the needs of Indians. So we went around the country, said, okay, we can't do it. So we went to China, landed up there, figured out a couple of suppliers, and started importing product. But in the meanwhile, we started building teams in India. It took us almost 5 years. We've built teams. First, we've built a design team, then a tech team, then a manufacturing team. And 5 years later was when we were able to open the first manufacturing unit, not of Mivi, the first audio manufacturing unit in India itself.
Okay.
And today we have a 100% made in India portfolio with more than 1,500 people, all graduates working at Mivi. It looks like a one-day's decision, no, but it was a long journey, because again, coming back to his point, that was the ethos from day one. We wanted to do it in India because that is what will give the customer a great product.
Okay, great. Vishal and Abhinav, would like you to take this. Vishal first. As a brand owner, how do you decide between growth and profitability? I mean, there is a mad rush out there to get your users in, get your customers going. At the same time, last 2 years we've seen there's so-called winter that's come in. People are questioning on the profitability of the business, fundamentals of the business.
Toughest question of today for sure.
टफ नहीं है सर, बट कैजुअली स्पीकिंग बट ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग सर, हम कहाँ डिसाइड करते हैं, इन्वेस्टर्स डिसाइड करते हैं. तो आई थिंक अर्जुन इज सिटिंग है. तो पिछले 3 इयर्स से इन्वेस्टर्स वांटेड ग्रोथ, वी गेव देम ग्रोथ. उनको प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी चाहिए, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कर देंगे. सो आई थिंक एज सिंपल एज दैट. So I think it's...
So Arjun, then you must step in as an avid investor. How do you support brands and owners on their journey of growth to profitability?
Look, I think I'll speak for myself, right? Because I've built a D2C brand, I think that we had a period of euphoria in relation to the startup ecosystem from sort of 21 and 22. But if you look at the way consumer investors have invested in consumer products and consumer brands, it's sustainable growth. So look, I'm not going to invest in a business that doesn't grow, but profitability or path to profitability at an early stage is important. But yeah, this sounds like an investor just giving yarn, so I'll just stop.
Nee, so you're lucky that all your investments have come through. But there are today, if you look at companies that were pretty household names in 2020, are facing challenges. Some of them are on the edge. Some of them are waiting for their funding to come in. I mean.
But see, I think it's important to also say that India ka, see, profitability finally is the, see, I come from a finance background. Return on equity, profitability is the EBITDA are the final metrics. But see, having said that, in India, we have to go and say Amazon today or Flipkart today is still not profitable. Or Zomato, Swiggy on a combined basis, or Byju's, or anyone for that matter. So, and I know brands, paperboard with 1,000 crore top line is still, so there is, see, if you need 80-90% CAGR growth, it's difficult to be profitable for a startup. Then you have to work with a 30-40% CAGR and certain different metrics. Surely you can be profitable. Yeah.
Basically, Vishal is saying choose the right partner. Choose an investor who understands you and
who has more patience. Abhinav, what is your take on the balance of growth and profitability?
I mean, you have to keep your ears to the ground, first of all. If there's a bloodbath happening there in terms of everyone wanting the same growth in the domain that you play, it's silly to be part of the bloodbath and burn all your money and then, not have anything left. So keep your ears to the ground. Ultimate goal for all consumer brands is profitability, of course. It's about achieving the scale at the right stage. And, but before everything else, you have to keep the business growing. You have to keep the lights on. So, profitability ultimately, but a decent momentum.
Rohit, what's your take on the profitability versus growth debate?
I think it all depends on the business and the partners involved. There is no simple answer. While everyone likes to talk about now because profitability, but the fact is, as Vishal was saying, if the business requires growth and there is a burn required, you may have to do it. And that is the reason why you have VC capital. Otherwise, what is the need of capital? If you could just run it profitably from day one, then you never, I would not take it like if it was like that. Just do it yourself, bootstrap forever.
Midhula, what about you?
For our category of business that we are in, because we are a product company and there is a cost that is associated with a certain product, and also the price points, which is an affordable segment that we operate, where the customer doesn't have too much of a brand loyalty. We make sure and have been profitable since day one, and we believe that is very important to know how long your money is going to last and make sure either way, it's bootstrapped or from investor in the category that you operate in, you have to make the decision growth versus profitability. For us, it is profitability.
So, on this growth versus profitability subject, do you think having a good brand story helps in both the cases? Rohit, what do you view? You have a direct connect with consumers and there is a story around the brand.
Brand story is always helpful. There is no one who should say in a consumer business that one should not have a brand story, right? It is like the basic core why you're building something, right? So that needs to be there regardless whether you are thinking of profitability or not.
So tell me, from a experience point of view, Vishal, scaling up is always something that businesses find a challenge in, especially the food business, because you have to be cautious about the quality of the product. You can scale up by losing quality, but that doesn't help. So how do you think you at a brand level assure, that your customers, that you will be able to scale up for your business partners without losing quality?
Quality is not compromisable. That's hygiene, right? So growth or no growth, right? So that's a given, right? In every product, and especially in food. Food is something you're putting inside our bodies. And see, we are known in Biryani by Kilo to make fresh product for every order. That's why we don't even deliver in 30 minutes. We have stuck to a 60 minutes kind of delivery. So we believe in quality, freshness, everything. So that's, like I am repeating it, that cannot be compromised. And of course, like by keeping quality consistent, anyone who's doing it right brand connect, right distribution, you're able to connect with your customers. Food is a very big category in India. It's a 70-80 billion dollar market. And there'll be many 1,000 crore brands in India in this category. The depth is there. So I think as long as the company is doing it right, I don't think it's a challenge. As long as, I think even with profitability, 30-40% CAGR is achievable, I think. With the size we are at, 250 crores.
We are running out of time, so one last comment from each of you on the upcoming startup enterprises and the next gen that is looking up to you as leaders, right? What is one mantra that you would like to share on this platform that will really hold them in good stead? We can start with you.
My biggest suggestion would be have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan ready. You should know where you're going. Have a very certain target, which startups miss most of the time. We love the idea. We want to make this great product. We think it's all going to work out, but we don't know where exactly do we want to get to. Setting a target is super crucial, and making sure your finances last, or arranging for your finances. Many startups fail because of lack of financial discipline or funding. And the other point is you will have to be ready to pivot. Your ethos should stay the same, but the market changes, the trend changes, startups should pivot.
Okay, we'll move quickly to the next.
Just a couple of points. I think why you're building a company or why you're building a brand is actually very important, because that will stay with you for a very long time when times are tough especially. And second is always have a long-term view of business. It's not a short-term thing.
Abhinav, your one mantra?
Yeah, same. I mean, stay true to your mission. Don't do it for money, do it for the right reasons. Also, I would say, listen to, advisors, but then be very clear about why you're doing it and what you're doing.
Vishal?
No, I think product is the hero. I think people sometimes forget. I think you have to work very, very hard on your product to make it differentiated. And even before you launch it, I think keep your eye on the product and the customer. Everything else is manageable. Those two, I think it's always said, but I think people lose focus of those two.
Last word, Arjun.
Yeah, no mantra, no gyan, honestly, from me. You had two founders who are below the age of 25 on the panels before, who I know personally who are 5x better than I was when I was 25. So I will learn from them. It's in their hands, and India's future is in good hands. So that's how I'll leave it.
Great. So right guys, thanks a lot for your valuable time. Been an honor to chat with you and get inspired from your work. And you will inspire millions of Indians to jump into this entire game. All the best.
Thank you so much for that wonderful session. I'll request you all to take a picture together with us on the stage.